Test. Can you hear it? Business Helping Business live stream, and I want to thank my guests for being here. Actually, I'm going to admit Glenn. He's just joining us now. I wonder if he's coming in with two kids hanging onto both of his feet like he was last time. I know that David Kincaid is not going to be joining us today, but he let me know earlier today. But thanks, gentlemen, for joining me. Today's topic, I'm going to be the one presenting today, and it's going to be how to start creating video for your business. All right, so let's unmute our guests here, and there we are. And I'm gonna invite Gordon in on this one too, because Gordon has helped me a lot with the video stuff around the studio. Good to see you, Lee. Good to see you, Glenn. How are you guys doing today?
Good, good.
Got a thumbs up from Glenn and Lee. That's awesome. Okay, sorry, I'm just gonna pull up my computer here in a second. Why did that go full screen? Okay. So my business colleagues did wonderful jobs of creating these awesome decks. And so I started mine at 8 this morning, and it's not as graphically awesome as what Glenn and Lee were able to do. But the point that I wanted to get for how to start creating video for your business is some people are going to need to be starting right now because everything is online. And some people are going to be able to do it a little bit more over time. And so for people that need to start right now, this is a big learning curve, as I think everybody on this panel will attest to. And there's lots of resources, like, for example, here, and I want to say a thank you to Morinville News that shares this. If you need social media made and you're a local business for around here, they can help you do that. They can shoot video, they can do a whole bunch of things. And as you're going to find out as I go through the presentation, it is a massive learning curve. And I want to say thank you again to Stephen Defoe for sharing this content to help people out. Okay, so getting started. Let's make this big. How to start creating videos for your business. So the first thing that we really need to look at is, why is video important? And so when you're considering, I pulled this from Forbes magazine, and 90% of consumers indicate that product videos directly inform their purchase decisions. And I know many people that will say, no, this doesn't inform my decisions. And how many people go, search online for that thing they want to buy, and it pulls them into YouTube, and they end up watching it. Whether you know it or not, videos affect your purchasing decisions. 92% of videos viewed on mobile are shared compared to other modes of access. So the importance of creating video for mobile in vertical format and reformatting it is really, really critical. 95% of customers retain communicated information through video, while only 10% retain information from reading. So that would be, if you find information through a blog compared to video, people are much more, my interpretation of this is that they're much more going to have a lot more retention of your message if they see it through video. Companies utilizing video content experience 41% increase in traffic through web searches compared to others who don't include video in their content strategies. Glenn would be able to speak to this better than I would, but that seems about right. I've seen, a big increase in our web traffic as we started posting videos. So now here's the big challenges. Why don't businesses do more video? It's tough. This is really hard. There's no way around it. Filmmaking is an art that people have dedicated their lives to. And so then when you need to come on and talk about your local product, it is insanely difficult. It looks so easy when you see the finished productions of other people, but it is very, very tough. People are afraid that they're going to embarrass themselves on video. I get lots of people that say, well, I don't go on camera and I don't do this and I don't do that. If your business is going to survive, you're going to have to. It's just the way this is. This is the new form of communication between yourself and your clients. The other thing is it can be really expensive. It doesn't have to be, but it can be very, very expensive, especially if you start paying for really high production videos. It can get really expensive in a hurry, and gear can certainly get expensive, and it's time consuming. It's pretty normal, especially at first, to spend 1 hour to 4 hours per finished minute of video. Lee Hodgins can speak to that. We spent 6 hours to do a 20-minute video just to get the takes on Friday. And that's no editing done, none of that. We're probably going to be 20 hours in, 20 to 25 hours in between both of our time after we're done. So that is an hour per finished minute.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I can see that Lee is super enthused about that.
it was a bit of a learning experience.
Yeah, for sure. So what do you need to consider before buying gear? Everybody wants to jump into the what gear do I need to buy? So here's what I wrote. You need video that's proportional and appropriate for your business. So for example, a tradesperson doesn't need a Hollywood movie, but they're probably going to want something gritty, and an iPhone can do, particularly if you take a little bit of attention to the audio, and you probably want to be on site. But a craftsman, so somebody that's building fine woodworking furniture that is an art form, you probably want some cinematic moments in your video for sure. So the first thing before you buy anything that I recommend people do is practice with your phone or any other gear that you have before you go and buy gear, because you'll start to find the ways that you actually can present the best. It's also going to help you if you work with somebody like, like our local news guy here, Stephen Defoe. If you want to create social media, if you're better at delivery, he's going to be able to give you a better price because it's going to take less time. And I certainly don't set Stephen's pricing. But if you become a customer that can come in and nail your lines, first go around, you can do your 5-minute video and it's going to take 10 minutes to actually shoot it. You naturally can get a better deal than if you're going to struggle through for 2 hours. So practice, like I said, this is an art people have dedicated their lives to. And guys, you can feel free to chime in. I know I'm talking a bit like an auctioneer because I got a lot of stuff to get through. I want to get through here. So then our next point was, there is nothing natural about videos to make a video look natural. There's nothing natural about that process. Glenn said yes. He wanted to add something in. He clicked the yes check mark. So Glenn,
No, I was listening in and saying yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
Okay.
keep going.
Okay, perfect. So there's nothing natural about having a video that looks natural. Here's what I mean by that. I come from an audio recording background, and I have a lot of bands that come in and they say, yes, we want to sound natural. We want to sound like we're a band playing in a room. And then I tell them that the people that are going to consume their music and listen to their music are going to listen to it on a speaker that's that big. There is nothing natural about squeezing a full band sound like they're in a room out of a speaker that big. We have to do a whole bunch of unnatural things to make it sound natural when it comes from somebody's iPhone or their laptop. And the same thing is true of video. The vertical that we're used to now watching video in is a very unnatural way, especially since we've been trained since the time of 35 millimeter to look at things in a more horizontal plane. To get things to be not distracting and look good for your customers is an art, and there's nothing natural about it. Doesn't mean you're not authentic, but everything is pretty staged. So then the next question, and this is the same with audio, video, what format will you be releasing your videos on? Social media, YouTube, a website? Every business is going to have different needs, but if you know, then you're going to be shooting your videos for the media that you're going for. And sometimes you're going to shoot two different versions, one for YouTube and one for social media. There are things that you can do that will be able to take your YouTube videos and then repurpose them and natively make them look good on other social media. But you need to know, if you're mostly going to be on Facebook, then your iPhone is probably a great place to start. Are you going to be live streaming? And I think pretty well everybody should be right now because it gets the biggest amount of traction. Are you going to be live streaming, creating video to be released, or making sales video pages, or all of the above? All of these things are going to affect your gear choices. And then I'm still not on gear yet. You notice how unimportant the gear is. I'm leaving it because the gear is not nearly as important as the rest of this. Content versus gear. This was a great quote that I love from Steven Spielberg, where he said that 98% of a good movie is good sound. That was super encouraging for me coming from an audio recording background. I thought, well, I'm 98% of the way there. Now I just got to get the whole of the rest of the 2%. People will put up with grainy video more easily than they will put up with terrible sound. However, people will put up with horrible sound and video if the message is important enough to them. And here's what I mean. If you can imagine, you're talking to a loved one via FaceTime and they're saying something that's very dear and really important to you, and all of a sudden your audio and video gets really bad, you will struggle and work to understand what the message is to you because it's really, really important. Chances are your business information to your customers is not nearly that important. That's why the audio and video does matter. But people put content first, 100%. And right now, many daily TV shows are using Zoom, like Dr. Phil is a good example of that. And this is super low resolution. It's the same program that we're using right now, which I'm not super happy with the resolution that it streams in. So the content matters more than the production. The job of the production is to make the delivery smooth and not distract from the content. So for example, if you're a craftsperson and you need some cinematic video, having, shaky Blair Witch type video production is not going to work and is not going to make your content feel like it is a craftsman working. It's going to feel like your video was an afterthought. But if you're a tradesperson, an electrician or something like that, and you need to go out on the site, having a camcorder where you can get a reasonably steady shot, but your lighting isn't all right because you're on scene, that's perfectly acceptable because the delivery of the video doesn't distract from the core message. So understanding, are you more corporate or are you more, a gritty kind of production that's needed, and keeping it appropriate. Successful videos are 100% focused on giving the viewer what they expect to see, everything from the title to the thumbnail to the video, and then the call to action, and they all work together. So for example, if you're buying, if you want somebody to buy your local product, if you have a video on YouTube and somebody Googles your local product, your YouTube search is hopefully going to come up if you've started to do things right. And your title needs to be exactly what they typed in the search bar. So, we'll use the electrician example. Electricians in Mournville, how to do XYZ. I don't want to say anything because I could easily give people wrong electrical information. And then the thumbnail better look like an electrician, not like a kid with a screwdriver going up to a wall socket. It better look like an electrician. And when somebody clicks on the video, it better be the information the person expected to see. If you get all of that, then you're going to get somebody that's going to go through the full cycle of the video. skills you need to develop. So before you ever buy your gear, start working on your skills. Composing and framing video shots. So for example, in this camera angle, I'm kind of following a rule of thirds where I'm off onto the, 1/3 and everything's backwards in here. And so this is the other third. The center of the video is about here. Most headshots would be, you'd focus central. And in this, I want to show that I'm in a recording studio. So I'm more using that rule of thirds. And so you can try things over time and you'll get the feeling of what sounds or what feels the best for your video. And then practice your presenting on camera. The next thing is you're going to need some creative design for things like thumbnails, photos, video, and you can also farm some of that out to local businesses so that you can do a bit of both. But you're going to need to create a lot of content. So being able to do some of that, and then getting people like local news guy Stephen Defoe to produce some of your higher end content, and you get to produce the more daily stuff, makes a lot of sense to use that partnership. Sound design, you're going to want to have reasonably good sounding audio. It doesn't have to be the best thing ever. And you're going to need to understand lighting a little bit too. And you're going to need to understand basic photography and video basics. So this is the checklist of things that I would start working on. And it does not matter which order you start working on these things. You're going to need them all. So gear in order of importance: room treatment, insulation, and sound baffles. Remember, 98% of the video is sound. So starting with sound insulation, you can actually, the cheapest form and most easily where you can tear it down and set it up is actually moving blankets. There's sound blankets, which are heavier, but moving blankets are made out of wool. You can hang them up. They're ugly, but you can take them down after you're done. But having some on either side of you and above you, if you can rig up some way to hold them, will do a ton for your sound. And it's not that expensive. I think they're like $20 each. The other thing that I recommend to most people is get a dynamic mic like what I'm using here. This is a Shure 57. This is what they've used for decades when the president speaks. Most people will, if they search on YouTube, they'll get what my friend Glenn Walker has there, which is the Blue Yeti condenser mic, which is a fine mic and can sound really good. However, it shows off your whole room and picks up a whole bunch of sound from the room reflections. And if you have a great sounding room, it's fine, and most people don't. A dynamic mic is going to pick up a lot less sound from your room. Lighting. So regardless of what you see online, you'll see those really small lights that you can get, and that's great. One of the things that I've learned the hard way over time is that big, soft, diffused light is really good. I have one. I can touch it right here. This is the top of the umbrella to the bottom. This is the 32-inch umbrella that Glenn gave me because it was way too big for his basement. But it's way easier to control your light when it's a big, soft, diffused surface. I'm primarily using that as a single light source. You are going to need to get good at video editing software, even software on your phone. There's some really good. I got a thumbs down from Glenn. I'm not sure why. He gave me a thumbs down, but that's cool. I like it. He'll harass me later.
He did like the umbrella. Probably.
I like the umbrella. I didn't like you talking about my mic.
Oh, that's fair. That's fair. Okay, so video editing software. There's software for your phone that you can use to be able to edit, to cut the beginning and ending off of it. iMovie for Mac or Final Cut Pro, Adobe Premiere, and I think Adobe has a easier, more easy to use software program that is also less expensive that you can use. You're going to need some video editing software. And then buy the camera that fits your type of video needs. An iPhone with a mic, always get an external mic if you're using your iPhone. You can get those ones that plug in and they work really good for your short social media messages. A camcorder like what I'm using here is really good. I love it for live because basically everything's in focus and I don't need the big artistic blurry background for what I'm doing here. And they're great in the field if you're a tradesperson or something like that, where you kind of just need to see everything. It's almost news format. And then a DSLR camera is more your cinematic type video. And then choose your background carefully. At the very least, just clean up what's in the background. I always go through and look at the background. It's really easy to get a terrible looking video because of clutter in the background. The learning curve. You are likely going to be terrible when you start, and no one is watching anyway, so who cares? You're not going to start off with a massive audience. If you have a massive audience from other stuff that you've done, start a new channel just to practice on, or don't release what you first start doing. You don't need to be the best. You need to be good enough to not distract from your message. That's the goal. Focus on your skills one at a time. The order of them doesn't matter. This will be as tough as learning any art, sport, or high-level skill. Just because a ton of people are doing it doesn't mean it's going to be easy. The good news is that most of your competition will give up and make excuses. Those that can persevere will win. And the last thing, create, learn, repeat. And just keep doing that again and again and again. If you need to go online immediately, I highly recommend working with your local businesses to create some of the things that you can't create yet for yourself, and then gradually take some more and more of that on. Okay, gentlemen, that's it. I was trying to get through that. I was trying to be 10 minutes. I'm 20 in. Who wants to have at it first?
It's your show, so you can take as long as you want, I guess.
Did that bring up any questions for any of you guys or comments? Did I leave anything out that you know of?
Well, the only thing I would say is I just have direct experience, as you mentioned, working with you, doing, this latest video shoot that we did on Friday. And yeah, there's a lot that goes into it. It's a very simple process, but it's not easy. It takes some planning. But I mean, having said all that, I think, I also just do regular video, and Glenn can speak to this too, I'm sure, is, just being on social media and having a presence online. You do your own videos now, just with your phone. You can click on a live stream with Facebook or with Instagram, and you're up and running in like 2 minutes, basically. And
yeah. Sorry, I interrupted you there for a second by accident.
I thought you were cutting me off. Is that the hook?
Is that the hook or the opera? Yeah.
I was trying to subtly actually get the outro set up so that I didn't have to have the awkward ending, and I just made an awkward middle.
Yeah, I'll just shut up now.
Sorry, Lee. Sorry. Yeah, and so actually, Lee, you bring up a really good point, because there is various levels of video that I think most businesses need. You need that everyday, quick hit, social media kind of stuff. You need more long format that's better. And then you need the really high end kind of stuff. And I think Glenn can probably talk to that far better than I can.
Yeah, that was my question was, one of the things I was kind of wondering through your presentation is the place for kind of that really the quick hit mobile phone video. Definitely, I believe as a marketer, there's definitely a place, especially in this time where you're just trying to communicate with people, that's a style of video that I think actually be really valuable. You just pull out your iPhone, maybe show the product or service that you're doing. Maybe you could just give us some quick tips on how to make the mobile style video just a smidge better than out of the box.
Yeah, so there's 3 quick tips, 2 or 3 quick tips I have on that right away. So with your phone, there is a Rode, it's a condenser microphone that you can plug, and it goes into any smartphone, iPhone, and you can plug it in and it aims towards you if you're using this side, and you can flip it over to go to the other side. I think they're about $100. And so then you can put your phone in front of you, try to use as much direct daylight as possible. If it's too bright, get a little further away from the window. Have the light behind your camera with your microphone. Check your background. And if you have a spot that you do every day, that you can kind of do this from every day, you don't have to worry about setting everything up. And then you can just do your kind of daily messaging. Does that kind of answer your question there, Glenn?
It does, yeah. And one thing I was going to raise is, this is something maybe I don't think you mentioned, but you taught me in the past, was the value of the simple tripod. I know you have professional audio gear. I've been the expert at running and getting the cheap stuff on Amazon. But like a very simple thing that's made some of my videos a lot better is a very simple tripod, and the the very inexpensive little iPhone mounts you can get on top of them. And I think you can on Amazon, or you can get a tripod for $25, and you can get one of these little iPhone holders for probably $12 or $14. And it just makes a massive difference when you have just somewhere to stick your phone and then you can talk directly into it. I think it's actually it's been a big, it's something you've helped me improve when I've tried to produce media for myself and my clients over the last year. So
A
I don't think you
100%.
mentioned it, but it's something you taught me that I think other people might find useful. And like, I do still, I really believe the lo-fi kind of iPhone video, there's still a really good place for that. And especially when people are just trying to get their message out right now. And that's a big part of it, you know.
I 100% agree with that. And yes, and I always suggest to people, instead of buying the $14 iPhone holder, buy the one that will also hold an iPad so that it'll work for a long time. I think they're about 25 bucks. That'll fit on any tripod. And then you can
What?
use
I got to spend another $25?
and but yes, having more stable video as opposed to holding the video, and it's that'll definitely help people be able to watch your video easier. And there's also something, depending on the style of video that you're going for, that a little more shaky. You're the electrician, you want to show people things, you can put that phone anywhere you need it to be. But certainly, and the other thing is, if you can hold the tripod, even a big tripod folded up, it puts a little bit more weight onto your phone, which makes it a little bit automatically less shaky. The lighter something is, the more your just natural handshake will transmit through the video.
Yeah, and I think that when you were showing me the top of camera mics, you're also kind of the idea that if you have something set up already, you're more likely to shoot a video. And that was something, when you were first teaching me how to shoot videos and do the audios, you were always saying like, oh, just set it up so then you can walk over to it and then you can set it up. Or if it's already set up, you can just walk over, hit record, and make something. If it's good, it's good. If it's not great, it's not great. But I think that's one of the biggest takeaways I've had through all this is just having something set up very simply. You can attach your phone to, take a video, get the information you want out, and then send it out to your client base. I think that's a pretty powerful.
That's a great tip, Glenn.
Yeah.
I love that. That's a great tip. Killer. Lee, you've been kind of one of the, kings of video on social media in this kind of way, run and gun, use your phone. Do you, I think just use your microphone that's on your phone. And are you more vlog style walk around, or are you put it on somewhere stable?
Yeah, I'm definitely more, run and gun, as you call it. But I mean, the name of my organization is Guerrilla Interviewing, so it's all about guerrilla tactics. So
Yeah. So
in the
which,
trenches, yes.
and
Just
there,
hold up the phone, click the button, walking along, doing my thing, whatever. Yeah.
and
No
that's,
fancy anything to it at all.
yeah, no, and that actually lends itself really well to the other point, which is having video that's appropriate for your organization. Because Lee, you've really talked about, not wanting to come across as overly stodgy and corporate, right? So
Right.
that run and gun kind of thing does it. And then Glenn, yours is, it's not corporate. It's serious, has the message, but it can be fun, because as a marketing guy, this is my perception. You don't want to be seen as just the stodgy marketing guy. You're the guy that will take a few chances and do some fun things.
Well, I do end up making mostly videos for my friends. So I do make some silly videos as well. So yeah, there's multiple different styles. When I've done, I think one of the ones I use as a technical marketer, the tutorial style videos, using that tool Camtasia is really good for the screen flows. But sometimes when I just make silly videos for my friends on Facebook, you can use some of the same techniques for that. And, since COVID stuff has come along, I've taken to making silly videos on my Facebook page, but I'm using the same skills as building some of my professional ones. And I almost do the truth is I actually do the silly ones for my friends. I mean, to entertain my friends, but I actually just do it for reps and practice. Because,
Bingo.
I'm a bit better. I'm getting a bit better every time I do one. And every time I do one, then when I have to do a professional one, it's not such a hurdle. So it's just something that, that dorky video that I create for my friends about, yeast or something silly. It's fine. It's more about just practice and reps. And I think that's something that I think would be really important for people. Anybody who wants to get in videos is you can just make a video on anything, and every video you do is going to make you just a little bit better on camera over and over and over again. Everything in life is practice, right?
Well, and you had mentioned, we check in once in a while and say, what is the value of what we're doing? And one of the things we checked on in our last mastermind meeting is what is the value of what we're doing here? And all of us recognize that there's some businesses that can get good information out of it. And for us, this is reps and practice because we all, I don't care how good you are, we all need to get better on video. This is the new way of communicating.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, going forward, I think it's such a step change in everything. There's a lot of organizations, I'm dealing with as an internet marketer right now, a lot of organizations who waited on e-commerce, waited on going to video, waited on going online, or having a more pronounced online component. Video is definitely a big part of it. I'm having people come to me right now because they've waited for e-commerce, or they've waited to go, to integrate online in their business to this point, and now they're in emergency mode. And I'm not saying these people made grave mistakes. I mean, none of us could see this coming. I mean,
No.
I think governments were caught flat-footed, and a lot of business people have caught flat-footed. Who expected the world's economy to be shuttered, right? But on the other side, now is the opportunity to say, okay, internet marketing is important. There is a component, and it's almost like a safety bet now. Being able to communicate with your clients in a non-face-to-face manner is really, really important, because going forward, we don't know what's going to happen over the next 3, 6, 12 months. I mean, it sounds like, this is me, not as an expert. It sounds like till there's a vaccine, there's really a question of how much face-to-face contact is really acceptable in society. And a business owner totally has to communicate with their clients. And you have to communicate that you have new products, you have new services, you have new ways of delivery. And video is just an inexpensive way, especially with these iPhone videos, to do that. So that's why I keep coming back to these. And like when you talk about reps and practice, I do this like I said, I do this because maybe we can help. And I know Paul's a member of the community who likes to help, but I do it for reps and practice too, because I don't know, where my business will be in 3-4 months in terms of how I'm going to communicate with my clients. I think it was fortunate that a lot of us got together and did Zoom and video conferencing and communication. But a lot of my clients have brick and mortars, and they're rapidly transitioning to online methods. It's a really important thing.
Nice. And Gordon was going to say something before, and the three of us are really good at pouncing in. And Gordon has been very, very polite. What were you going to say before, Gordon, or did we cover it?
It was going to be about scripting. Like, if you're making a YouTube video, you need to make sure you're to the point. You don't want, like, if you're going to monetize, you're going to have an ad before the video. And then you might have a sponsor slot, so you're already a minute into your video. You're going to start losing viewership if you preamble too long after that. You just need to come in and get to the point of your video.
That's actually a really, really good point. And this is about practicing, repetitively, presenting with video. I've had experience for years of presenting on stage. You're an MC, that kind of thing, and you get an unending stream of people saying, hey, can you, wish my boyfriend or girlfriend happy birthday? And oh, by the way, can you tell everybody that license plate such and such has their lights left on? And a whole list of things. And it's like, no, the audience is going to be able to tolerate 3 things, and they need to be presented in a way that is somewhat interesting. And you leaving your lights on, or somebody, sure, okay, it's a bad thing. They might have a bit of a bad night, but I'm not going to make a downer out of everybody's nights because somebody couldn't remember to turn their lights off. That's really important.
Why DJs don't like requests.
The bands have a tougher time with requests than DJs, because DJs,
true, yeah.
they can look it up. The band is like, anybody here played the, such and such a song before? Yeah, I might have about 4 years ago. Yeah, yeah. Let me see if I can remember the solo note for note. So I guess one of the things that I think, just kind of ending on here, is that person-to-person contact is the best way to build a relationship with a client. The eyeballs seeing each other. And I think video is a distant second. And if you're good enough at it, I think you can make it a reasonable substitute. And that's why this is so important. And, and the last point of, you don't have to be able to do everything yourself. Do as much as you can on your own, like the iPhone daily message, and then look for resources around you that can help you get the more important message is created.
Sweet.
All right, so we're all good, gentlemen. Everybody's happy and feeling like we got
Hey, I
through the
wanted to,
presentation.
before
like
we
an
leave, I
RPA.
wanted to shout out to my sister who sent me this sweet Nova Scotia T-shirt. Stay the Blazes home.
I love
wear
it.
this today. I wanted to share this. So most people, maybe some people have picked on up from it, but I am from Nova Scotia originally. I do have a bit of that accent underneath, if you've ever wondered, anybody who's watched. But thank you to Allison Walker, my sister, for sending me this lovely T-shirt. I got it yesterday.
So did she make
Watching?
it?
No, it's actually I believe, I'm not 100% sure. I believe it's something that the premier had said, and the
Yeah,
current
it's
premier of Nova
exactly what he
Scotia is,
said, yes.
yeah, he's quite a gruff, kind of a gruff guy, and he's a stay the blazes home. So
I can hear the
Well,
accent and everything.
yeah, so they put a little bit they put this on some T-shirts. It's become a little bit of thing for back home.
Is
So
it raising money for anything?
I don't know. I don't know the details. My sister, I had heard a State of the Blazes home, and then my sister sent me the T-shirt. I'll have to look into it. But yeah, like I think Lee confirmed that it was something the premier had said. But you'd have,
yeah,
you know,
he
as
said
someone
he
who,
said it in a news conference, actually.
yeah, and
Yeah,
he's a
yeah.
particularly gruff individual, so it came off like a State of the Blazes
Actually, it
home.
was perfect. It was perfect because nobody was staying home. You guys, well, people out in Nova Scotia anyway,
Yeah.
didn't feel it was necessary or hadn't really got the message hadn't sunk in. So he just came out and said, "Stay the Blazes home," and it was awesome.
and I got a T-shirt out of it.
That's good. Well, if you're watching this and you go and Google it and you find out that it is raising money for something good, then I would say go buy 900 of those T-shirts. If it's not, then buy one if you like it and support a
Yeah.
local business.
Sounds good.
You guys rock. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time more than you know, and I will see you next Monday.
See ya.
Thanks. See you, Paul.
Bye-bye. See if we can get this going. And why don't I hear this?